Hi, boys and girls. So today we are working on Module 12, Lesson 4, and we're working on using the hundreds chart to help us add. And so I put my picture on here today. I normally don't do that, but I want you to be sure that you know that you can use this hundreds chart that we included for you all the time. This one is just like the ones in your book. You might want to use your finger or a pencil eraser or even a pencil and draw on it lightly and then erase to help you hop. So the biggest goal today is for you to understand that when you're using a hundreds chart like this, you are counting by ones when you go across. So if I start at the number 23 and I count across 23, 24, 25, 26, I'm counting by ones. If I go down on the hundreds chart, no matter where I am, I'm counting by tens. And so this is something that's completely brand new. So you know that if you start at 10 and go down, you're counting by tens. But that's also true if you start in the middle of the hundreds board. So let's say I start at the number 35. If I'm counting by tens, I am going straight down. So this is counting by tens. 35, 45, 55, 65, 75, 85, 95. That's still counting by tens. Or 13, 23, 33, 43, 53. So really take a look at this hundreds chart and think about how it works. It's really a pretty cool thing. So if I ever say to you, or if any other teacher says to you, if they give you a number and they say, what's that number plus 10? Let's say 56, if I said, what is 56 plus 10? You don't have to hop around the corner and count 10. You can just go 56, go down one, 66. 56 plus 10 is 66. And the same holds true if I say add 20. So let's say I said, let's take 27 plus 20. I start at 27 and I go 10, 20. It would be 47. Okay, so that's what we're going to be working on today, using the hundreds chart to add. I can use my hundreds chart to add 2-digit numbers with 1-digit numbers or multiples of 10. So for Spark Your Learning, Meg has some toy rings. She gets 20 more rings. Now she has 50 rings. How can you find how many rings Meg starts with? So I'm not going to use the hundreds chart for this one. I'm going to use a quick picture because remember in math, a lot of our learning is all about whichever strategy works best for you. So that's why they give you so many different tools over here that you could try. So for me, I want to draw 5 tens for the 50 rings that she wants to end up with. So I'm just going to do a quick picture for the 50 rings. And then I'm going to read it to you one more time because we know when we do a word problem, we read it at least 3 times. So here we go. Meg has some toy rings. She gets 20 more rings. Now she has 50 rings. So here are the 50 rings that she's going to end up with at the end. If she gets 20 rings, how many rings did she start out with? Well, it looks like I have 3 tens over here. Well, what is 3 tens? It is 10, 20, 30. So Meg starts with 30 rings. Let's go on to the next page. So now I'm on page 362, and now we have our hundreds frames. So I do want to use these with you today, or hundreds grids. People call them different names. To build understanding for this page, how can you use a 100 chart to solve these problems? So this is our new strategy for today. There are 5 blue hats and 22 red hats. How many hats are there altogether? Okay, so we're starting right in. There are 5 blue hats and 22 red hats. We want to know how many hats there are altogether. So first of all, let's think about, would we add those 2 numbers together or would we take them apart? So I'm picturing in my mind, that's what we talk about in math. I'm picturing someone with 5 blue hats, and then they have a stack of 22 red hats. How many hats are there all together? So I'm seeing that we want to put them all together, right? We want a total, so we're going to add them together. So then I'm thinking, okay, I could go over to my 100 grid here, and I could start at 5, and I could hop 22 hops. That would absolutely work. That's a lot of hops, though, and a lot of chances for me to skip one or make a mistake. However, in math, and this is so important, I know that I can put the add-ins in a different order, can't I? So would it be the same for me to start at 22 and hop up 5? It certainly would. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So my equation would be 22 plus, my handwriting with this mouse is not great, but 22 plus 5 equals, and then let's use our hundreds grid to figure it out. Let's start at 22, and it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hops would land me on 27. So there would be 27 hats. I also could put 22 in my head, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. I also could do a quick picture. So remember, lots of different strategies. Whichever strategy makes the most sense to you, that's the one you should use. Let's look at the one at the bottom. Let's look at B. Carol sees 16 red hats and 6 yellow hats in a store. How many red hats and yellow hats does she see? So again, I'm picturing Carol at a store, 16 red hats and 6 yellow hats. And I want to know how many hats she sees at the store. So I want to know the total, don't I? So that means I need to add. And so it would be 16 plus 6. And so let's try that. Let's start at 16 and let's hop over 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 would take me down to 21, and then 6 to 22. Explain how you counted on by ones. And so in this space, you would write something like, counting by ones, I moved across the number grid, right? I counted across. We didn't go down until we had to go from 20 to 21, but I counted across the number grid. So this one would be 22. When it says explain how you counted, you could say I counted across or I hopped across the number grid. Let's look at the next page. Step it out. Use a hundreds chart to add tens to a number. Okay, so solve 40 plus 28. All right, so I have a couple of choices. I could start at 40 and I could hop 1, 2, 3, 4, 28 times. That would be a lot of work, but I could do that. But here's what we're going to do. They're telling us to circle the number 28. Let's do that. Add 4 tens. Count by tens. Move down 4 rows. So 4 tens is the same as 40. So what I can do is go 10, 20, 30, 40, and I landed on 68. Now, the tricky part was not only did I have to know I had to move down because I'm counting by tens, but I also had to put the add-ins in a different order. I had to see that 40 is the number that I want to move by because it's easier, because it's a multiple of 10. It's an even 10. It's 4 tens. 40 is 4 tens. So now let's try the same strategy. I'm going to change my ink color. Let's try the same strategy for 62 plus 30. So 30 is going to be an easy number to hop by because it's an even 10. So if I start at 62, I'm going to circle my 62. And I'm going to hop down because I'm counting by tens, 30. So I would go 10, 20, 30. and it would be 92. Be sure that you don't start counting until you move away from your start number. So don't say 10 until you've hopped and actually left the 62. Let's try the same thing for this one. Something equals 35 plus 20. So what should I start on, 35 or 20? 20 is an even 10, it's two tens, so I'm going to start with 35. Start with 35, and then let's count down 10, 20, and it would be 55. Let's look at the bottom. Check understanding. Use the hundreds chart to solve. Sarah has 5 crayons. Mark has 24 crayons. How many crayons do they have together? So that word together is a clue to me that we're wanting to add their crayons together. So I want you to think about that. Picture Sarah has 5 crayons. Mark has 24 crayons. How could we figure out how many crayons they have all together? Well, should we start on 5 and hop 24 times, or should we start on 24 and hop 5 times? I think hopping 5 times sounds a little easier to me. So let's circle the 24 and let's do our equation as 24 plus 5. Now, I also want you to think about, am I going to go across 5 or am I going to go down 5? Let's think about that. If I go down 5, I'm going to land on 74. Would that make sense? If Mark has 24 crayons and Sarah has 5 crayons together, would it make sense that they have 74 crayons? Nope. So we are counting across because we're counting by 1. So starting at 24, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So together they would have 29 crayons. All right, I do want you to do this page on your own, but I really want you to take your time and think. So remember that when you move across, you're counting by ones. When you're moving down, you're adding tens. Okay, so think about that carefully. Use your number grid and enjoy your math today.